This, people, is 100 kilos of stuff, and it's the amount of weight BMW has taken out of a standard M4 to create this, the all-new M4 CSL. Yeah, they're bringing back the CSL badge, and in BMW M world, it gets no bigger than this. It's a badge that's only been used twice before, originally on the E9 3-litre CSL in 1972, then again for the famous E46 M3 CSL in 2003. More recently, BMW has used the GTS badge for the quickest M3 and M4. The question is why? And to answer it, we have this man, Dirk Hacker, BMW M's head of engineering. Dirk, 50 years of M this year, and you've given us a new CSL, only the third time in BMW M history you've done this. Why have you chosen now to bring back the CSL badge?
The CSL badge, I think, stands for lightweight, and we want to demonstrate the lightweight potential of the new M4 competition model in the future, to see the impact on the performance, and also as a little remark to the M3 CSL 20 years ago with a ducktail, with a carbon roof. That's a message for the 50th of anniversary for the M4 CSL.
So what's the difference between a CSL badge and a GTS badge? Because obviously the E46 was the CSL, then you've had a couple of GTSs since then. So what's the difference?
There's a little different focus for the car. So CSL is more for lightweight, and the GTS are more for track tool. So they included also a roll cage, a wing on the rear, but also adjustable front splitter. And with this car, we want to demonstrate the lightweight performance and of the new model.
Great.
So that was a message in this generation for the M4 CSL.
And how important is that E46 CSL in BMW's lineage?
I think it's very important because it's for the first time a special model, a special edition of an M3 20 years ago, with the first time weight reduction by the carbon roof, but also with the impressive exterior, with the ducktail and so on. I think the CSL is a very big, important thing for the M generation, the M3 and M4 generation.
Cool. Okay, so and this car is obviously 100 kilos lighter than a regular M4, right, but it's also 100 kilos heavier than the last generation F80 GTS. Where's that weight discrepancy come from?
I think we know that the new generation of the M3 and M4 increased by the weight, but also by the dimensions. It's a bigger car. And also we have, to the end of the predecessor, a lot of installed technique like auto particle filter and something like that. So at least the difference between the predecessor and the actual model, it's about 50 kilograms. So if you compare the M4 CSL with the predecessor M4 competition, this is 50 kilograms lighter on one side, but on the other side 100 horsepower more. I think it's a message overall to take a look on the new generation, lightweight, more power, more performance, and that is the exploration for the weight differences.
Okay, so 100 kilos saved overall. I want to know how much detail you've gone to with that. What's the smallest piece of weight saving on the car?
I think the smallest thing, also a very impressive one, is the laser wire rear light, because it's about 400 grams lighter than the standard one. And that was one of the components we have to add and also to offer to get the decrease of 100 kilograms. But I think the laser wire in the rear is the thing with the smallest impact of this.
So we know what the smallest bit of weight saving is. Welcome to the biggest. These seats are each 12 kilos lighter than the regular M4 seats. Manually sliding, but if you want any other adjustment at all, you need to get the spanners out, including to remove the headrests. There are two little bolts here, so you get more helmet space when you're on a track day. The seats themselves are superb. You snug so deep into them, the sides are up really tall. It feels proper in here. which makes it a bit more difficult to turn around and point into the back, where they have saved another 21 kilos by ditching the rear seats and all the boot lining. Getting rid of all the sound insulation has saved another 15 kilos. Carbon exterior panels have lost another 11 kilos. A titanium silencer, that's another 4 kilos gone. And 21 kilos in dynamic bits, lighter brakes, wheels, tyres. And then there's another 4 kilos of miscellaneous bits, the more open grille, the new rear lights, ditching the floor mats and the automatic air conditioning. You do still have to have air conditioning, but it doesn't have to be dual zone. That saves a little bit. But is this a bit convenient? Like they got to 100 kilos of weight saving and didn't bother pushing any further? Here we are under the carbon bonnet, and look at the state of this strut brace. It's aluminium though, and it was carbon on the old F80, so this is probably a little bit heavier, but look, they're clearly serious about stiffness. Engine itself hasn't had a lot done. It's just had a software upgrade for an extra 40 horsepower. 550 horsepower total, 479 pounds-foot of torque, which is the same as the regular M4 competition. Let's hear what it sounds like. It might be turbocharged, but that sounds pretty good to me. A bit crisper and cleaner than a standard M4. But if you still worship manuals, you're not going to like this very much. The CSL is automatic only, not twin clutch. Automatic, the same 8-speed gearbox that's in the regular M4. But it does send all its power to the rear wheels alone, and we do like that very much. Relax, these haven't got any bigger, but they have got more open, so don't go chasing people around on track days too closely, because you'll get stones spat straight through into your radiator. Love this though, look at the new badge, actually the original badge from 1972. It's being fitted on all BMW M cars made during 2022. Under these rather lovely new carbon wings, you have a wheel that's saved about 5 kilos a corner. Carbon ceramic brakes, obviously, and although these wheels look like the standard M4 ones, they are not, they're all new. Plus, you've got Michelin Cup 2R tyres here. Instead, if you're going to be more on road, you can have a 4S instead. Stiffer springs and dampers supporting this, and there's more camber on the wheel, which you can probably see. It's got really good stance, this. Down here, the start of the aero work, which, as you come down the side of the car, past the new wider sills and these rather lovely laser lights, you get to my favourite detail on the entire car. Yes, like the original E46 CSL, this has a one-piece carbon boot lid with the moulded-in ducktail spoiler. Gorgeous. And this all adds up to a car that can storm round the Nürburgring in just 7 minutes 15.7 seconds. Over 13 seconds faster than the previous M4 GTS or the current M5 CS. Right, here's a quick potted history of the ultimate M cars. First there was the original E30 M3, which got gradually lighter and faster through Evo, Evo 2 and Sport Evo versions. The E36 came along in 1994 and spawned a GT model. Only 9 horsepower more, but with 30 kilos stripped out. Only 356 were built. This was BMW getting its eye in. The E46 CSL was the game changer. It pioneered the carbon roof and famously had a carbon airbox. With 355 horsepower, the iconic 3.2 litre straight six only gained 17 horsepower, but 110 kilos was hacked out, bringing overall weight down to 1,385 kilos. Yes, that's a quarter of a tonne less than the new CSL. 1,383 were built, and it was capable of a 7-minute 50 ring lap. Arguably the ultimate version of the ultimate M3. That was in 2003. 7 years later we had the first GTS. 30 horsepower more from its naturally aspirated 4.4 litre V8, 75 kilos less, courtesy of Perspex windows and no rear seats. 2016 brought us the first turbo-era M3, and at 1,510 kilos it was lighter than the previous GTS. Only 700 were built, It featured water injection and lapped the ring in 7 minutes 28. But unsurprisingly, this one is the fastest of all, the fastest M car ever. BMW has returned to a more serious lightweighting philosophy here. I know this seems a heavy car, but it's the most weight taken out of an M3 since the legendary E46 CSL. Most encouragingly of all, while this is extremely fast around the Nürburgring, the fastest BMW production car ever, no less, BMW say it is a road car first, track second. And I reckon that's the perfect way for BMW M to celebrate hitting the big 5-0.